And one of the things that we do, our imagination can think up some really wonderful things, but it can also dream up some pretty frightening things too. We call this catastrophize. We often think of some of the worst possible things.
One of the things that therapists tell us that we do when it comes to things we're afraid of, or things that begin to become more and more, objects of our fears, we catastrophize. I love that word, catastrophize. And what that means is we assume the very worst possible thing could happen. And so when we begin to assume the worst possible thing, it may be, I'm feeling a little sick, I must be dying. It may be that person looked at me the wrong way and they want to hurt me, right? And so we begin to catastrophize. And that's one more case where the fear leads us to some pretty bad places. I think about in your car, the rearview mirror that you see off to the right or to the left, it has a little thing etched in the glass. At least I'm pretty sure they still say this. I haven't looked lately. Maybe I've gotten so used to it I don't even pay attention. Do you remember what that says in there? Objects in your mirror are closer than they appear, right? And that's because the convex nature, or concave, I never can remember which, I think it's the convex nature of the glass in the mirror, makes so that you can see a wide range, makes things appear further away, and so it's warning you, right? And that's a good warning. What happens with our imagination and our fear is just the opposite, and it is that things that are farther away appear closer than they really are. They appear more frightening than they really are. This happens for all of us. You've heard the acronym for fear, false events appearing real. False events appearing real. And so many of the things that we've been afraid of in our lives never come to pass. Or if they do, whatever comes to pass is not nearly as bad as we thought it would be.
I'll even go further and say some of the things that I thought were the worst possible things that could happen to me ended up being some of the best. Most of the time people worry about things they can't control. Worry causes us to focus and think about the worst case scenarios. Our imagination going wild. What if the market doesn't come back? What if the prognosticator is right? And all these what ifs. We get caught up in the what ifs, and those can lead to bad choices. Maybe making choices that we wouldn't normally. I'm reminded of all the times that my grandmother would call me, usually late at night, always after watching the news. Okay? And she said, "Scott, do you know what's going on?" I said, "Well, more than likely, yes." And she'd go in and start telling me all the things that she learned on Fox Business or MSNBC about how bad things were. I'd always say the same thing. "Grandma, you can't control any of that. Why spend your time worrying about it? We'll be up there on Sunday, we'll have dinner, and we'll have a nice time." So all these things that we're afraid of, higher taxes, national debt, financial meltdown, right? Recession possibly, the list just goes on and on and on. We don't have any control over those things. But that lack of control doesn't stop us from spending countless hours and emotional energy, right, trying to, change the issue. That leads to stress. Focus on the things you can control.
But even the president's critics were astonished at his serenity. Once he had made a decision, nothing seemed to faze him. Franklin had learned from his struggle against polio, his wife said, that if there was nothing you could do about a situation, then you'd better try to put it out of your mind.
Yeah, really good advice, right? So we would always hang up the same way, and she'd say, "I'm going to say a little prayer for the country, you do the same." I'm going to get it out of my mind. Right?